Welcome to this edition of Tuesday Talks with Twyla. So, today I want to give you some tools and tricks that you can implement if you want to improve your life, feel better. I don't want to say feel happier because we want to feel happier, but it's not the goal to feel happy all of the time. So, understanding that there is a delicate balance between feeling good and not feeling good, which has to exist because how do you know if you're feeling good if you don't have the contrast of not feeling good? But for all of the things that are within our control, I want to give you tools and tips that you can implement to make those improvements in your life. So, as a part of my strategy call process, we'll walk you through a series of questions, and what that reveals is answers to sometimes questions that you might have, like, I just don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I can just, like, there's something wrong with me. Like, I don't, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. Like, I'm just down in the dumps, like, all the time, all of that. And the series of questions are designed to explore what is going through our mind. But if you want to try to do this work at home, I wanted to give you a couple of tricks and tips to do that. So, a lot of times when I'm talking with my clients and we reveal the negative thought patterns, the negative thoughts that just play on repeat from the time we get up in the morning, all throughout the day, and then anything that comes up that is an additional opportunity to beat ourselves up or self-sabotage, we do that regularly. And so when I go through the questions and it reveals that, it's just like so obvious that yes, that series of thinking is going to cause me to not feel good, cause me to not, you know, have a good experience, right? And so it's easier when you're in that process and you're going through the questions and revealing the information and taking a look at it, right? We've shifted into the watcher position. And as soon as you do that, you change the perspective, you change the object of your observation just by doing that, just by shifting the perspective and becoming the watcher. So that's, it's a guided process. It's, designed to do that. But if you want to do this at home, like what is the trick, right? Well, the sooner you catch it, the better. Because these are things that have just become habits for us. It's just what we do, it's just common, familiar, right? And it's causing unnecessary suffering and causes all this discomfort, but yet we continue to do it. And sometimes we just don't even realize how much we're doing it, how strong we lay it on, how impactful it is. And so you could just have like the tiniest moment that spirals into this huge self-sabotage incident. And that could ruin your whole day. It could impact your whole day, the whole week, right? So these things are very significant or can be very significant. And so the trick to catching it as early as possible is what gives you the most advantage to the change. And so you want to try to catch it right in the moment. In the middle of your self-sabotage, in the middle of like this eruption of negative thoughts, that's when you want to try to catch it. And so a simple trick is just telling your brain, I'm not going to beat myself up again. And if I do, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause. I'm going to put a little space between me and what's about to be my self-sabotage meltdown or my boxing match, beat myself up, whatever you want to call it. And you set your mind to this intention and you tell yourself, I'm not going to do this anymore. And it seems so simple, and it is that simple. Your brain will listen to you. That's what it's designed to do. It is also designed to be efficient and to survive. And so the things that it knows, it likes to repeat. So if you've been doing this for a while, it becomes a habit. It's what your brain does. It's like, oh, I know what to do in this case. I start beating myself up. And it's efficient and it does that. And it's, got the negative bias because of the survival instinct. And it causes all of this suffering unnecessarily, right? Because there's no benefit to thinking the negative always, right? Like the survival instinct of our brain is very helpful if we're in a dark alley and somebody pulls out a knife. Very important to have that survival skill. Cross the path of a bear in the woods? Absolutely. Survival skills, we're ready for them. But it's not useful in our everyday life. It's not useful to go to the worst case scenario, the big negative explosion of thoughts for our everyday life. Just, it doesn't serve a purpose there. It just makes us miserable. But because it happens so often, we just get used to feeling that way and we don't even realize what's happening. And when I can crack that open for you and reveal that to you, that in and of itself is life changing. And these can be hard to find for yourself, right? To figure out what it is. But it's the negative thought patterns, it's the self-sabotage, the negative self-talk, all of that that happens. And catching it as soon as possible and turning yourself to the watcher position interrupts all of it, right? Because you won't sit there and beat yourself up and watch yourself beat yourself up, right? Like as soon as you tell your brain to stop and pause, put a little space, what was I just thinking there? Because now your brain is thinking about what you were thinking about. What was I just saying to myself? What was I just thinking to myself? How I'm not smart, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, right? Like all the negative thought patterns that came up. Like as soon as you tell your brain that, you've interrupted that eruption of negative thoughts. So just that step, right? But the goal is so that it doesn't happen. And the better you get at catching it quickly, the faster you'll catch it, right? And so it might be at the end of the day and you look back and you're like, gosh, I really was hard on myself here, here, and here. Tomorrow I'm going to try to catch it in the moment, right? And every time you set the intention for yourself, you will notice that it will actually tell your brain and your brain will follow through that you will catch it sooner. And then you have the opportunity to decide. First of all, you've interrupted it all. So you've already kind of cracked the code because you've interrupted it. And then what? Right? Like, okay, yeah, I just noticed all that. Well, first of all, you stopped it. So you stopped thinking all of that. And maybe, you slip back into it. But that's the opportunity to evaluate what you're thinking. Why am I thinking that? What's behind this? And a couple of things to ask yourself, like, is that really true? Like, could something else be true also? Right? Like, if you're like, I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough, is that really true? Could something else be equally as true? Like, maybe so if you change the thought from I'm not smart enough to something that feels better, that is believable, right? And so you can't just go to I'm the smartest person in the world, right? You're not going to make that leap and you're not going to believe it. So it's just a waste of time to try to jump from I'm not smart enough to I'm the smartest person in the world. And we all can recognize that. But there is somewhere in between I am not smart enough and I'm the smartest person in the world that will make us feel better, that is believable, that is a more soothing, more productive thought in the right direction. So, has there ever been a scenario where you've been smart enough, that you've been smart, that you were able to bring some intelligence or knowledge to something? Absolutely, you can find evidence to support that you are smart, right? And maybe you have a situation where you haven't figured it out yet and you're telling yourself, I'm not smart enough. And you ask yourself, is that really true? Am I smart enough to figure this out? Yeah, especially today when we have all the resources that we have, right? Like of course, you are smart enough to figure this out. And so when you start basically poking holes in these negative thoughts that we just play on repeat, we don't even realize are there, and we get used to hearing and then we believe them, we start poking holes in that and it opens up the opportunity to think something else. So you've interrupted your explosion of negative thoughts and you have opened up the opportunity to poke holes in the negative thoughts. And now you can explore maybe a more productive and soothing thought, something that feels better, something that feels more productive, something that feels better. And it's interesting how we can just be like, well, yeah, I understand, like, yeah, I shouldn't be thinking that, right? And if you just let it drop that way, like, duh, like it's, we all get that, like, what happens when we self-sabotage and we talk negative to ourselves. The thing here is that we do it from the time we wake up, we do it all day long. We allow certain instances to become a flurry or an explosion of even more layered on negative thoughts, or we beat ourselves up, right? And so and then we just get used to living that way. And it just becomes our pattern, our norm. And so these are the tips and tools to crack that code, right? Tell yourself, set the intention. I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. I'm not going to talk negative to myself. I'm going to find at least neutral thoughts. In those moments, I'm going to interrupt it and I'm going to notice what's going on and I'm going to start evaluating what I'm thinking and make decisions about what I want to think. Because this stuff all happens like behind the scenes, right? Like you don't have to get in the car like you did the very first time and remember, adjust the seat, adjust the mirror, right? Lock the door, put my seatbelt on, put the key in the ignition, turn the ignition. For me, I got to push my foot on the brake, hit the button, right? You don't have to think all of that. I just get in the car and boom, I'm off and out the driveway, right? It's that seamless. My brain has just ingrained that, right? It's just in there in my subconscious. I know how to get in the car and start the car and back out of the driveway. I'm thinking about probably 10 other things while I'm doing that. That's the amazingness about our brain. When it's efficient like that, that is very useful. But it also does that with our negative thought patterns. And so these things happen without us even realizing it. They play from our subconscious, they play on repeat, they start first thing in the morning, they play all day long, right? And so we have to get a handle on it. We have to interrupt it and we have to make conscious decisions around it. Now, what if you had, like, one of my favorite coaches that I follow, she has like where you pick a sentence that you're going to tell yourself every day. And she picked one that said, there are miracles everywhere. And I can't remember what the duration of time was. Let's say 30 days. For 30 days, she said that to herself, and she was amazed at the miracles that she found, discovered, noticed, right? Because that's what she told her brain to look for. And it listens. And so we have that power within us. We can decide our thoughts. We can set our intentions from early in the day. And so when you wake up and you're like, the normal negative thinking comes in just on autopilot and you read a statement that is positive and you're like, wow, there are miracles everywhere. That's what I'm going to go do today. I'm going to go find the miracles that are everywhere. Right now, you've stopped that. You've done an interruption on that normal thought thinking pattern, and you've set your intention on what you want to think. Now, that sentence can be anything, anything that serves you, anything that feels good to you that is either positive or neutral, right? We don't want to go searching for everything negative throughout the day, but when you start the day thinking negative, that's what your brain's going to find, right? It's going to find evidence to support your negative thoughts. It's going to, offer you all of the negativity that it can find. And that's a pretty painful way to live, right? We just don't even realize that's what's happening. And the relief on the other side is mind blowing, especially if you're in that position where you feel like there is something wrong with me. Like, I don't know what has happened. Like, there is definitely something wrong here. Like, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel good. Like, everything feels awful, right? And so, this is like, this is what cracks that open for you when you just feel like there's something off, something needs to change. This can be the very first and very simple step. And it's just like, it seems so simple, but like how it feels all day, every day on the other side of this, it's like, why was I doing that before? Right? Like, why was that so hard to break out of? And it's not hard to break out of it, right? It's just knowing how to and then doing it. Because we get into this routine, we've done it for so long, it becomes our everyday, and we just don't even realize that we've kind of put ourselves into this box and we just need to break out of the box. And it can feel like, I want to say like it feels external, but honestly, it doesn't really feel external as much as it just feels like there's something wrong with us. We realize that it's us causing it, it's us that's experiencing it. It's not coming from someone, it's not, from our environment or from people in our lives. We just feel this, whatever, however you want to describe it, this negativity, this slump, you know, this discomfort, this unsettling, right? Like we just feel, ugh, there's like something just is not right. And the hard part is knowing how to break out of that, knowing what it is and how to break out of it. And this is exactly how you do it. So it's not hard. The hard part is being consistent, deciding and setting the intentions. And it's, I mean, and that's also very simple. I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm telling myself I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. I'm going to be nice to myself. I'm going to be kind to myself because it's always so amazing how we can be so awful to ourselves. And we would never talk to someone else like that. We would never treat anyone else like that. A loved one, a stranger on the street, right? A coworker, whatever it is, like you just would never talk to them or treat them that way. And yet we have no problem doing that to ourselves. So decide today, I'm done with this. And even if you're like, I'm in that category where I just don't even know, I don't know what it is, I don't know what's wrong, start with this. Like, turn the perspective into the watcher. What am I thinking every day? What what part of this day was good? What part of this day was not good? And what about it was not good? What happened? What was I thinking? What was I feeling? What was I doing? All of the things, like just get very detailed descriptions about what it was that happened and figure out what was going on in your mind. Because that's the trick, right? Like that's the part we want to knock loose. And then that's where you get to decide. And of course, the moment is past, right? You can't go back in time, you can't undo it, you can't change it. But what you do when you practice turning the perspective into the watcher, is it teaches your brain how to do that. And when you set the intention, now it knows how to do that. And so even though you did it for something that happened in the past, you've set the intention, I'm not going to do that anymore, then I know what to do in the future. If I start doing that, I'm going to pause and start reflecting on what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what is happening in the moment. And just that alone, right? Like that, just that alone, turning the perspective, you've interrupted that negative explosion and you've taken a pause, you've taken a step back, you started looking at things, and then you can decide, how do I want to proceed here? Do I want to think something different? What, is that really true? What else could be true, right? Start wiggling that loose and set your intentions to find the positive in the day, to show up as a positive person, show up as like the person that you want to be, and set that intention. I'm going to find the positive things in my day. I'm going to recite this one positive statement to myself every morning, every night. And that's like the magic of it. That's the part where it just starts happening so seamlessly without trying, without a lot of effort, right? It just happens. It happens seamless. It happens without you thinking about it. That's what changes us. That's what transforms our lives. Because just like our brain likes to remember things and kind of um, ingrain it, I'm not coming up with the right word there, but our brain likes to remember that, stored in our subconscious, just like driving the car, just like walking, just like going down the stairs, like all the things you imagine, like teaching a young person, all those things that you teach them. And then once they learn it, they don't have to think about every part of it. It just gets remembered. And that part of our brain will also remember the positive things. It'll remember that, oh, when this happens, I switch my perspective. I take a look at it. I start thinking something different. Oh, when something bad happens, I think this instead. Or my go-to thought is this. I start my day thinking this, right? Your brain just loves repetition. It loves the efficiency of it. So when you start training it intentionally, training it purposefully, you're training that subconscious. You're rerouting your brain. You've heard all of this, right? It'll reroute those thought patterns and you create a completely different experience every day, most of it without even trying. And when you have something major that happens or changes in your life, these tools are the exact same thing that you use to address those things. Because a lot of us have different things that have happened in our lives. And you hear stories all the time about how this person had this trauma and this is the amazing life they've decided to live. And this person had a similar trauma or a lesser trauma and it has destroyed their whole entire life. It's all how you decide to think about it. It's all the thoughts we have that are all within our control. Our thoughts are always our choice. Always. The trick is to finding them, catching them, becoming aware of them, becoming the watcher, and being intentional about them. And it's it seems so simple. It's not easy. I don't want to say it's easy because some of this work is hard, especially if it's something that, you just keep, it just keeps coming up and you have to keep practicing it. It's probably not going to be a one time you change it and it sticks. It's probably going to be some work. That's okay, right? It's so worth it to make this change and be on the other side living a more positive, a more enjoyable, a more fulfilling, a more exciting life because you get to decide all of that just by the way that you think without changing any of your circumstances. We're not changing our job. We're not changing our boss. We're not changing our kids. We're not changing our husband. We're not changing any of the circumstances. We're just changing the way we think. And that, as easy as it seems or as simple as it sounds, changes everything all available to you. So with that, I hope you go and put these tools into practice, that you try them out, that you find a positive thought for you, you question some of those thoughts. Is this really true? What else could be true, right? And set the intention. Decide to make these changes. It is so easy. And of course, if you want any help along the way, just reach out to me. And if you're stuck in that spot where you just don't know, but something's off, something's wrong, jump on one of my strategy calls. In 60 minutes, my process will reveal all of that to you. And the awareness that you'll have from that, just the perspective that you'll get, like you'll know exactly what it is that's causing you to feel that way. And that alone is so amazing. So I'm always here to support you. I hope you're having a great Tuesday in August here. The month is going so fast. I feel like summer's going to be over before we know it. But I will be back next week with another Tuesday Talks with Twyla. Until then, have an amazing week.